The clock struck 11 p.m. 12-year-old Minjin dragged his bag along the ground as he made his way home. His mom usually came to pick him up, but that night her phone wouldn't connect. "It's not that far anyway," he muttered to himself and turned into the familiar alley. A streetlight flickered, then went dark. The darkness grew thicker. That's when he saw it. At the far end of the alley, someone was standing there. A woman. A bright red mask covered the lower half of her face, and long strands of hair fell across her eyes. Her coat swayed slowly, even though there was no wind. Minjin's feet stopped moving. That's strange. She wasn't there a second ago. The woman lifted her head. Under the pale glow of the streetlight, her eyes locked onto his. Beneath them, something dark was running down her cheeks. Tears or blood. He couldn't tell. She began walking toward him. Click, click, click. Her footsteps echoed unnaturally loud. Minjin stepped back, his legs already trembling. She stopped, right in front of him, and in a voice barely above a whisper, she asked, "Am I pretty?" Minjin's mind went completely blank. A story flashed through his memory, something the kids at school had giggled about. A ghost story they'd all laughed off. He'd thought it was nothing back then. Right now he wasn't laughing. He squeezed out every bit of courage he had left. "You're pretty." A moment of silence. The corners of her lips curled upward. You could feel it even through the mask. And then, slowly, very slowly, she pulled the mask down. It was a mouth. It was clearly a mouth. But the corners had been split open all the way to her ears as if carved by something sharp. Raw red flesh lay exposed. The mouth opened once more, and a sound came out. Not quite a voice. Closer to a groan, crawling up from somewhere deep and hollow. "Am I still pretty?" Minjin couldn't even scream. His legs gave out. Just before he collapsed, he threw his bag aside and ran with everything he had. He didn't look back. Not when footsteps thundered behind him. Not when the wind brushed cold against his neck. Not when something that sounded like his name drifted through the dark. He never looked back. He burst through the front door and locked it behind him. His entire body was soaked in sweat, his lungs burning. His mom rushed in from the living room, startled. "Minjin, what happened? Are you okay?" He couldn't find the words. He just burst into tears. After a long while, still pressed against her, he finally whispered, "Mom, I'll never walk home alone again." She quietly patted his back. Then, the doorbell rang. His mom stood up and walked toward the door, calm as ever. "Someone's here. Let me get that." Minjin stared blankly at her back. And then it hit him. His mom hadn't left the house tonight. She'd been home the entire time. So, why? When she stood up, why was the hem of her coat completely soaked? The doorbell kept ringing. It wouldn't stop. Minjin curled into the sofa and squeezed his eyes shut. From beyond the door, a voice crept in, soft, familiar, and so terribly wrong. "Am I pretty?"